Okay. Let's start off with the poem that started the whole anthology, Glisk, by my wonderful co-editor, Larissa Reed. When I read this poem on Twitter, the idea for this anthology was there right away. And when Larissa agreed to be on board and gather the light with me, things just fell into place. Thank you so much for doing this with me, Larissa. It's been a joy. Here's Larissa Reed with Glisk.
I'm going to be slightly cheeky and say a couple of words first. So for me, one of the most beautiful things about poetry is how your words can grow a life and a world of their own, and how a single poem can speak to someone because they happen to read it at the right time on the right day. How your words might provide a little lift or some comfort or some recognition, a little light in the dark. I was so delighted when I heard that my poem Glisk had lingered in this way for Anik long after I'd posted it on Top Tweet Tuesday, which was one day last year, I think. And here we are. We've got a beautiful book. And it's filled with all these little flickers of light in the dark, little glisks on the page. And to me, this book symbolizes what poetry and our poetry community is all about, which is hope in our beautiful, near broken world. So thank you to Anik and Jane for all the hours you put into this project. Thank you to all of our poets, to everyone who submitted, for all of your words. And here is my little poem, the one that started it all. This is Glisk. To navigate the constellations of guests, trace delicate trajectories, I might spin on the axis of some and infiltrate the orbit of others. But always there is you, glimmering at the edge line, my will-o'-the-wisp, my Glisk.
Right, I think that's me next. This poem is called Forest Bathing. Diving into calm, each mental backstroke between dense trees as shafts of morning sun, harks, warmth, sparks, behind eyelids, red blurs into gold, retinal memories, retention predicting that nascent fate when one day, late, all green will turn to light. Thank you.
Thank you, S, for taking us into the forest with you. We really loved that when we first read it, Forest Bathing. I'll read my poem before we go on, the only one in the anthology. And that's where I'm joining you from tonight. This is Berlin, Berlin. Whatever I was hoping for, it wasn't this. Carrying coals over 4 flights of stairs, cold seeping through me as I tried to make fire after fire, waiting for warmth in the biggest city I had ever lived in, watching a sparrow flying laps around the grey courtyard. I bought the ugliest blanket in the world in a charity shop to sit in the park nearby, where people were celebrating, offering me champagne, chocolate, ideas on how to live my life. There were blossoms all over, and I walked along the Spree, up to the Museumsinsel, breathing in the morning, eating croissants on a bench, remembering the smell of Paris, that same light, a myriad of marvels laid out just for me. Skipping through the flea market at 6 a.m., listening to the vendors joking, soaking up each smile, each sign the city gave me. Welcome, welcome, you're welcome here. So our next reader is Maria Isabel Matthews-Schlinzig, and she will explore a special kind of firsts with us. Welcome, Maria Isabel.
Thank you very much. And hello, everyone. And of course, before I start, I have to thank you, Annick and Larissa, for putting in all the hard work, because it's a lot of work to put something like that together and produce a beautiful book like this. Thank you. If you hear a baby in the background, you'll hear it in the background and you'll hear it sort of in the poem. Infinite Loop. We explore our garden galaxies, the Milky Way of common mouse ears wrought through with pinkish purple vetch, the many moons of dandelion and their burning suns, planets of primrose, clover, daisy, nettle. While there's no vacuum, the air tastes golden green, a cosmic hum of dunnocks, blackbirds, motorways surrounds us as we marvel at everything unfolding. Holding you close, I recognize myself reflected twice within your pupils, irises, a mum-shaped nebula amidst a brilliance of newborn stars, each yet to be discovered, mapped and named. So many firsts. Again. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mims. I still love that. Lucy Heuschen finds old Sussex words for a wildflower that used to be part of a potion. Welcome, Lucy.
Thank you, Annick, and thanks to you and Larissa for this gorgeous, gorgeous book. And I'm enjoying all of your words so much. Thank you all. Yeah, so this, my parents live in Sussex, so it's a part of the world I love very much. And so this is for my mum. It's called Wild Viola. Somewhen in the night, the storm subsides. Skeletons of old man's beard are fobbed with foaming spindrift. The blenched whirl of home oak's branches are stilled. Winnocks huddle on totty land, jostling snowy bellies into stoached cliff holes. Puckish holly fetches in ruby, covets the low, silent sweep of windhover's winging. On the nap, heartsease flits between sinuous grasses. Long before, Cupid's arrow bruised her cream to violet. She strokes the sun, pleading, kiss me, again, kiss me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Our next reader is Coit O'Neill McCullough, who has 2 poems in the book. So we're ready to be surprised which Glisk she chooses. Welcome, Coit.
Thank you, Annick, and thank you also to Larissa for bringing us all habit this Glisk Glimmerous of wonderful poets. It's so good to join you all this evening. I'm going to read from the book, the poem dedicated to the Illy River near me in Sutherland, here in the north of Scotland in the Highlands. The Illy in spring. Glisk River, wash to diamond the face of the sun, scatter her 1,000 gems of sharded sky, light marvelous, ochre a shimmered rivering, fray the strath to this foot of all waters. Life's gold is born brackish here, a world whooming where the sea has travelled nations. People and place become at the ebb of the Vore, turning to thaw all that is raw-budded. O rippled nut fattener, hastener of hazel and salmon and wisdom, glacial winnowing, turf tumbler, unstitch winter and bare blossom as petalled snow. From the ben of the warriors' heads, haven a spate of dale's loam to smoor this harbour's briny thirst. Renew us with the healing of winds and memory. Your voice, language, and silence, restoring us with futures. Open now, O mouth of Ili, radiant mirror of the whole world's sky, skinkle stars and ripen us to the swelling song of the dear wee wren, that peedy prophet of possibility, her feathers all hued in rivered peat. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful to hear. Our next reader is Jerry Stewart, who will tell us a shimmering story about Sisu and Jag. Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you. Right. This poem is about the limpet that is hanging around my neck at the moment. The word sisu means in Finnish grit and determination, and it's kind of the Finnish national character. Sisu and Jag. She is silver, a thistle, rooted in a bare field before the first cut of snow. Always running, bare-legged, through the bladed grass, no fear. Burling with the aurora, a daughter of the long night. Her name freezes to lips, a pearl of ice, grit in the oyster. Luminous. Milkweed floss, then lightning charged. A paw swipe, a needle-eyed glint. A thread of light, an interruption of my dark. Thank you.
That was very short.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And now Damien B. Donnelly will take us right to the heart of a Van Gogh painting. Welcome, Damien.
Congratulations. What a beautiful, beautiful collection. A windy storm here. I hope this doesn't break up too much. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. It's truly an honor. This is called Shadow in the Light. After the painting, no, sorry, it's not. This is called Types of Snow in the South, after Landscape with Snow by Vincent van Gogh. Dabs of light near the end of life. Before the land had recovered from the shock of the fall. An avalanche in Arles where palm trees came for peace and a painter displaced. Blades were splinters, in that season to be unsettled. Flatlands were not homelands when mountains cut their horizon. The calm before the crow, tiptoeing through thoughts under a pastel of baby blue. Snowflakes spread like violets shivering. Nature was linear under the frost, under the countdown to giving up. In Nice, years after, the blue coast less clear. You lined up rows of fine white powder clubs till your mother cloaked us in her own lavender-scented blankets. Her baby blue, bluer now, she said, not knowing I had already seen him, looking for a place to splatter all his black. It rained as I left, a storm calling from home to the north of all his loss. Dabs of light, like blades, cutting across the plane's window, unable to figure out how to get in. Thank you so much and lots of love.
Thank you, Damien. And now Jan Westwood will introduce us to kindly dragons and different worlds. Welcome, Jan.
Hi, hi to everybody. It's lovely to be here with all these beautiful poems. Worlds. I stepped out to see the glow of moon and secret stars on a glass-cold October night. But their shifting breath drew me further to lean on the field gate, lit to white, feeling the heat from their winter coats warm me, looming shapes in the well of darkness, rustling and scuffling the last of their hay, blowing smoking plumes from wide nostrils like kindly dragons. I didn't stir, but they knew I was there. In the flint of moonlight, an eye gleamed, muzzles pushed softly into my palms, their sweet smell curled into the night. I turned to walk back to the house. The moon lit the flitter of a bat etched on air, making a glamour of the rooftop rhyme, fleeting intimation of a world unknown. Upstairs, someone switched on a light, and I stepped back into mine.
So I'm checking again to hear if Annie Cowell is there now. Annie, are you there? Okay, so I will move on to Gaynor Kane. Gaynor, if you're ready.
I am.
Gaynor is sharing treasures and memories with us tonight. Welcome, Gaynor.
Thank you. It's so good to be in this Zoom room with you all, and congratulations, Annick, Larissa, and to the furry editor, Yogi. This is a poem about goldfinches, and it's a memory of my dad. Lost treasure. Lost treasure. I want to share my treasure with you. Tiny nuggets nesting in the cypress tree. Sweet wee pouches of yellow and beige, like the fool's gold gum of my childhood. 24-carat wings, platinum breasts, the smudge of Christ's blood on their heads. The male whistles his contact call from a high wire telephone line, his heart-shaped tail pivoting for balance, harbingers of optimism and joy, soul carriers too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gaynor. Before I introduce the next two poems, I would like to say a few words about the cover. So most of you will have it, but many of you here will know that my mum made the painting that is on the cover of Our Own Coordinates, our first anthology. The painting on the cover of Glisk and Glimmer is also one of hers. She used to work as a teacher and an editor, and now she lives in a care home and lives with dementia. This home has a wonderful art therapy class, and that is where this picture originates. I like the colors of it, that feeling of light, without it being too on the nose. Didn't want a sunset picture of poppies and the sunset, if you catch my drift. So I really loved it when I saw that first, and I hope you like it as much as we do. And now the next reader was supposed to be Alessa Cattrall. She contacted me before the reading, and she's got an awful migraine, so it's understandable that she can't read. But she asked me if I would read her poem, and I agreed to do that. So I'm going to read Alessa Cattrall's After Image. I imagine how it would be to disappear, to become an absence, the imperceptible moment of a tide turning. a quiet slipping out of sight, a sleight of hand. Beneath surface, reflections, brief memory, and dappled solar shimmer. Lightning strike fizzled out, burned after image on retina. A meteor flared bright and brief between stars. Did you see me? Was I truly there? And now our next reader is Doreen Duffy, who's inviting us to look at what lies behind in a poem like a spell. Welcome, Doreen.
Hi, thanks very much. And thank you so much, Anique and Larissa, for including my poem. It's called Hindsight. The length of time from dusk till dawn at night will tell you where you are this time of year. But in the end, the clearest view is hindsight. When just before what lay ahead seemed bright, until the clock tick-tocked aloud my fear. The length of time from dusk till dawn at night. My heart, like wings, beat hard in fight or flight. I can't recall a time you were sincere, but in the end, the clearest view is hindsight. I must face facts. I knew this was not right. No reason I should have to end up here. The length of time from dusk till dawn at night. I can't erase the past, although you might have wished this lack of light might make unclear that in the end, the clearest view is hindsight. So you can't stop the world turn day to night, nor gamble on the roll of this great sphere, the length of time from dusk till dawn at night. But in the end, the clearest view is hindsight. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doreen. We really love the repetition in that one because it just builds beautifully. Thank you for reading. I'd like to introduce our next reader, who's Sarah Hemming. And she rather appropriately is going to take us deep into a light song. Sarah?
Can you see me? Yes, I'm here. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here. How do I get myself onto full screen? I don't know if you want me on full screen with my voice like this.
It's kind of up to everybody how they choose to see each other, so you can select a particular view. So you just go ahead.
Oh, okay. So my poem is called Light Song, and it's about the blue hour, which is the 20 to 30 minutes after sunset and just before sunrise, where everything obviously looks very blue. And my poem starts with a quote from Edmond Rostand, who was a French poet. And it's « C'est la nuit qu'il est beau de croire à la lumière », which translates as « It is nighttime, how beautiful it is to believe in light ». Waking to the cool mystery of l'heure bleue, she thinks she has never seen the moon like this, bottom side up, its uneven surface like a kintsugi bowl, imperfections patched with powdered silver, platinum, gold. She is thankful that darkness in Los Abrigos is never absolute. Lights left on in houses, on bobbing boats at sea, street lamps, incoming aircraft, her own white robe embroidered with stars. She has less than 20 minutes to drink this in, to savor the singular blues of this new day. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you for reading when you've got a sore throat. I'd like to introduce our next poet, Julia Bick, who has a poem as tiny as the subject that she's writing about, sea glass. Julia.
Thank you very much, Larissa and Anik, for including my tiny glint of light and love in the anthology. It's a real honour. So my poem is called Sea Glass. I'm tumbled smooth by apple light, sea licked into rounded softness and frosted honey glimmer, glistening toward your thumbstroke tender harbour. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, our next poet is Matt Jones, and I'm excited to hear Matt read because I know he has a brilliant reading voice. Matt, are you around?
Got it. Fine. Hello. Thank you. Good to see you again. There's something of the flying fish in this poem. But thinking about it, there's something also of a self-portrait. And it might also reflect each one of us tonight as we step into the light and then disappear again. So fish flying. He never really leaves the water. He needs it to carry his breath. But sometimes, with a fierce flick, he will seek to fly beyond. Clear in air, everything drips from him, making his own rain. He is his own lightning, flashes his own sunlight, dry for a time in the gill. She always takes him back, the water. She saves him from gravity, she says. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love that poem. Our next reader is Karen McFarlane, and she wrote us a gorgeous poem about the River Tay, which is right near where I grew up. So it spoke to me right from the start. Karen.
Hello, thanks, Larissa. And what an absolute pleasure to be here among all these beautiful, bright voices. Thank you for including my poem in the anthology. Yes, this is our second Scottish river of the evening, this one the River Tay, and it's called Silver River. I look down on the Tay, 3 miles distant. Liquid light, its cargo the glister of all that I was, meandering my past selves along the last of its course. I want to wear it, scoop it out of its strath, wrap it round me, drape its cold weight on my limbs, feel the grit of it scrape me, its silt soothe my skin. I want to belt my waist and hips with its 3 bridges, be flicked by seal's tail and salmon's fin, let my shoulders breach, golden as sunbanks in the sun. I want to swallow its brackish tide and spew it back twice a day, plait my hair with reeds, stretch my gleaming arms to the docks at Perth and Dundee, and push them away. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. I thought that poem really stood out for its uniqueness, the ideas in it. Brilliant. I'd like to introduce Nia Brimhall, and I think she's knitting us into her words this evening. Nia.
Hi, it's so nice to be here, and I'm so honoured to be included in this. This is called Ravelled. Loose threads like money spiders catch the light like points of dust, drawn breath slow like unmade wishes on knitting needles, like a lost long hair or forgotten glint of splintered glass, like dropped grace notes late on the frayed edge of an afternoon. Some knots hold. You bring tea. Children shuttle through the room, and again the cat sleeps in the basket of my knees. It holds. the warp and weft of counted days holds like leg-up laced fingers, willow work warm. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Beautiful alliteration. Our next reader is Chris Spencer, whose poem Cathedral really rang true for both Nick and I as soon as we read it, and it still rings in my head regularly. So, Chris.
Yeah, I'll read it. My mum's just trying to ring me and it's coming in on my screen, so I hope that she just holds off. Anyway, this is Cathedral. In Santiago de Compostela, there is a hollow in a column, worn away by pilgrim hands, an absence, excavated and filled by touch, day after day. She just phoned again. I hold my hand there in the slanted light. The white stone holds a shine like a beggar's bowl, rubbed smooth by coin. Each day, the small dust joining the filaments, floating in a sunbeam, settling on a gilded cross or under some pew. A handful for every 100 years. Each mote, a prayer stroked from the bright marble. Whatever has surprised us, what we've caught in flight, what has become incredible is made like this.
Beautiful. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
And our next poet is Paul Atten-Ash, who has a wonderful poem that's taking us deep into the forest, the Kingswood. Paul.
Hi everyone. Thanks to Anik and Larissa. Thank you so much for including my poem in this wonderful anthology. I'd just like to say that this poem is a sort of deep contemplation of a particular kind of light. It's a memory of light, and a very special place for the West Mendip Way, which has been a great escape for me. Night falls on Kingswood. Night stills the trees. A calm majesty commands the canopy. Among ancients, oak, ash, sweet chestnut, the wood's fugitive dens emptied of children. In a fever dream, as the sun snakes along the ridgeline, no one else is bathed in the same light, the black hollows of the heart dispelled. While the city sleeps, my dark double uphills arm-thick roots, silver-lit steps rising out of the understory to arrive atop Cross Plain. The heathland breathes deep, lime, beech and hazel inhale our poison. Ghost votary, I have glimpsed a far glisking, the last light over a vast palmed sea. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Paul. And our next reader, I believe, is joining us from Canada tonight. This is Robert Redkenter.
Hello. So I hope that you can all hear me. This is such a gorgeous collection, and I'm actually, just to let you, I'm holding keeping a photo of my mother in the book now. It just seemed to be something to do. It's going to be her 100th birthday is coming in October. She's no longer with us, so it's like a memorial for me. I'm going to read, I have two poems in the book. I'm honored, and I'm going to read Spinal Body Memory, which is the second poem. Such calm, a happiness perhaps felt only once. The universe inside me, universe above, joined in an instant, flowing, floating, kinetic. No moment can be repeated, its own platelets, its own residual motifs. We are here in the moment, away from what jar, ambushed by chemical nodules, mercurial chimera, shimmering, connected. And this is solid matter, and this is solid, and this is matter, held down by earth, this hued texture, this tenacity of circumstance and circumference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Robert. Our next reader is Shannon Clem, who has the honor of being the first poem in the book because, well, you'll see why.
Thank you so much. I just want to say quickly that I wrote this with someone in particular in mind, but it goes out to anyone who has experienced trauma or who feels like maybe their light has gone out, and maybe for good. Sometimes it takes someone else to see that within us, but that potential is always there. This is called Prism. Sliced and reflecting for all to see, one lonely prism, refracting a circus of colors, needing a sun to tell her story. A quiet courts in waiting, her pendulum swings, summons monsters and men, recognizing no difference between the two of them, divining answers to all questions with no. But I see her hanging, spinning, a conduit of light, shooting love in all directions. Thank you.
Shannon, it's so lovely to hear you read that. Thank you. We loved that ending because it shoots out and brings all the other poems in. I just think it's beautiful. Our next reader tonight is Lynn Shapiro, and she's also out. She's in New Jersey, I believe. Is that right? Yeah. And go ahead.
And my poem is titled In America. And it's about Paul Gauguin, the painter, and Edward Hopper, who I don't know if people know, he's an American painter. Gauguin would have split open the sky, made each shade a nesting cup of blues within blues, each hue tattooed like the stitching on the billowy skirts of Marquesan women. Their bonnets painted crisp white, like New England clapboards, so to better record the summer light. To the color green, Gauguin would bestow freedom, uncut grass and tangled vines, shifting light on leaves that soak up the long summer's day. He would exile puritanical geometry, soften meticulously clipped shrubbery into verdant, playful sheep. He'd plunge his hands into Edward Hopper's shadows, let unfurl the wildness that lies restlessly beneath our dappled feet. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Beautiful. Our next reader, I believe, is going to take us for a walk. Elizabeth Gibson.
Hi, it's so lovely to be part of this project. So this poem is about a walk at Hilbre Island, which is an island off the Wirral, so like northwest England. And I went there with a queer women's walking group, but I was really late. And this really lovely person called Sophie waited for me, and then we walked together. So it's about her and the conversations we had, and just in gratitude to her, really. Hilbre Island. You clamber the hill with me, the latecomer. You tell how the sea could take an island any smaller. Down by the shore, you are shod, while I shudder at tiny shells on bare soles. Then I bask in kind water. You warn me ahead of green slime on each boulder. You ask me to name birds. Grey-lag goose, I venture. Yes, you say. They definitely look goosey, dapper. We bounce over ridges of hard sand. I wonder how we can talk so deep. My body remembers my feet learning cold back when she held them under. And I squealed and she said, how will you ever be a hiker? Now I stop you from stepping in a milk jelly creature. Share how I never saw animals until I sat lower, and they rose up to meet me, bats and foxes and deer. I try my first willow rarebit when we rejoin the others. The mustard seeds pop, but it still tastes so tender.
Thank you. Beautiful reading. Our next poet is Regine Ebner, and she has another tiny poem. We love our tiny poems in this anthology. Regine.
I just wanted to say congratulations and hello to everyone. And I do love the cover. I love the cover. My poem is called Mirrors. I've held on to my pieces of broken glass, prisms of calypso fire, pressed together in airy luminescence, bending light into shades of hallelujah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. There's another poem with a wonderful ending. Okay, we're into the final few poems for tonight, which seems really sad. I could just sit here all evening. I'd like to introduce Olga Dermot-Bond, who is, well, the thing I remember about her poem is this amazing murmuration of starlings that appears. So, Olga.
Thank you. What a beautiful evening. My poem is called January, and it's dedicated to my sister-in-law. January. Since you died, it has been so cold. That's not a metaphor, just winter. There was nothing serene about your last few days, struggling to swallow. Sleeping, they said. Comfortable. You weren't this verb or this adjective, rather a tangle of morphine, slow motion struggle, a clumsy backwards waltz out of time. Since you died, it has been so cold. Every day after work, there has been a murmurations of starlings by the ancient crossroads, a startling dragon dance that turns everything upside down, a great shoal of bodies turning in sunset, tremor sound of 1,000 wings, soaring, stretching through dying light. Thank you.
Gorgeous. Thank you, Olga. Our next reader is Jill McAvoy, who is reading her poem Mersey Estuary. Now, my father was from Liverpool, so that's all I need to say there. I love this. Jill, are you there? Oh, maybe not.
Okay. That's sad.
Yeah, that is sad. I was looking forward to that one.
Do you want to read it?
Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
I haven't practiced. So
that doesn't matter, but I think then we can sort of stay in the So we're going to read the last two. Maybe that works as well.
Okay, no problem. Just let me find it. Okay, here we go. The Mersey Estuary by Jill McAvoy. Time here marked by the turn of tide, advance and retreat, of wading birds, bait diggers, the slow revolution of turbine blades. A place of silt, soft mud, slippery surfaces, and light. Light like a great sail shaking out dazzle. Not a place, this, of soft earth under leaf fall, not home, but strange, rare, beautiful. Okay, I think it's back to you, Annick.
Yeah. So before we conclude the evening, which Larissa, I agree, it goes by too fast, and you could just sit there and listen to everybody reading again and again. I want to conclude this evening with the one that actually ends the book, and that is the poem by Ank Spice. Ank was one of the first people I met on Twitter, and I most certainly wouldn't be here tonight and wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it weren't for Ank. So I think it's only fitting, because his poem ends the book, that his poem should end the evening. So this is And Are Other Animals Afraid to Sleep by Ank Spice. What breathes out as night takes you in? The mote you are, the weight, carried through tick of light, and while you're gone, wander dust in the shuttered unknowing, thief's hours of else tides, and this happens, and this, and all, for no reason, but that the living insist on walking, which is the catch of each heel toe before falling asleep. And you wake to repeat, even a bare graze of sun might split one of these open. Portal, pupil, the rest of your wide-eyed life. Thank you so much to all of you for trusting us with your words, and for coming here, and for gathering the light with us tonight. And I hope you take some of that light like fairy dust into your sleep. That would be lovely. The she would love that, I think. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.